Okay, this is section 2.2 on intermediate algebra, 4th edition, Martin Gay. We're going to do section 2.2. We're going to do the even numbers up to 20. Okay, the first one says the perimeter of a rectangle. They want us to write an expression for the perimeter if this is the rectangle. Well, the perimeter is the sum of the four sides. So if this side is x, that side is x. If this side is x minus 5, that's x minus 5. So the perimeter equals 2x plus 2 times x minus 5. This can be simplified slightly to 4x minus 10. Here I just used the distributive property. I just wrote it down, leaving out one step. Okay, because we're trying to develop proficiency at reduced number of steps. We could have almost written that down from the beginning, but I'm going to start off a little bit slower. Okay, the second one is number 4. It says the sum of 3 consecutive odd integers if the first integer is x. So 3 consecutive odd integers, that means like 1, 3, and 5. Those are 3 consecutive odd integers. 1, 3, and 5. But in this case, the first one is x. So if the first one is x, the second one is going to be x plus 2. Because if one number is odd, you have to jump ahead 2 to get to the next odd number. And the next is x plus 4. So the sum is going to be the sum of these three. It's going to be 3x plus 6. I just did that in my head. Now remember, this 3x, that's the same as 3 times x, right? We use a dot. We don't use the x like 2 times 3, okay? Because that's for grade school. When we get up to intermediate algebra, we use the dot, and then we even get sloppy, and we stop using the dot, okay? Because whenever a number appears next to a variable, it's understood that it means multiply. So these are all shorthands. Okay, so now we'll go to number 6. The total amount of money in cents, if you have y quarters, okay, 7y dimes, okay, 2y minus 1 nickels, okay, and it says use the hint for exercise 5, but we'll just say that they want it in pennies. So on the first account, y quarters is going to be equal to 25y in pennies. 7y dimes is going to be 10 times that, or 70y pennies. And the nickels is going to be 5 times 2y minus 1 pennies. So the sum is going to be 25y plus 70y plus 10y minus 5 in pennies. So you might put cents on there. I put parentheses around everything so that the cents will apply to the whole expression. Now I just add them up. 25 and 70, that's 95, plus 10 is 105, minus 5, and it's all in cents. Okay? You didn't have to have the cents there if you don't want to, because I said that what is the amount in cents? It would be understood that the answer is in cents, even if you didn't write it. So either one of those is correct. Okay, and then we go to number 8. A flooded piece of land near the Mississippi River in New Orleans has to be surveyed. Excuse me. Okay, and divided into 4 rectangles of equal dimension. Express the total amount of fencing needed as an algebraic expression. So this is what we'd call word problems. Flooded piece of land. Well, this is what it's looking like. It looks like it's a little hard to tell from the picture, but it looks like there's a river. That would be the Mississippi River. Then it looks like there's a land. It says near the Mississippi River, but it looks like it's on the Mississippi River. And then it's got 4 lots. Oh, they're divided into 4 equal rectangles. And they're saying that x is the length that they're divided into. And the other one, for some reason, they're calling 3x minus 15. Don't ask me why. It's just the way it is. Now, all of these, of course, are going to be the same as that. And on this problem, they say, what is the total amount of fencing? And you can tell from the picture that the fencing that they intend to put in is along this edge, this edge, this edge, this edge, this edge, this, this. They don't intend to put any fencing along the river, I guess. They figure they don't need it. But anyway, assuming that this is what the problem is, the correct answer here is what is the total amount? Well, it's just the sum of all these. It's going to be equal to 4x, because that's these 4 pieces, plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 amount of the other dimension. Okay? So you might call this as fence. It's the total amount of fence. And here we're going to, that's 4x plus 15x minus, now 5 times 15, that's 75. So minus 75. And then that's equal to 19x minus 75. That's the final expression for the amount of fencing. For my interpretation of this, because I don't think they want fence. They don't seem to show fence going up along the river. Okay. That's number 8. Now look, number 10. 10 says, write the perimeter of the floor plan shown as an algebraic expression. So here's the floor plan for some type of room or a floor on a house. And they say this is going to be x plus 8. This is going to be 10. This is going to be x plus 14. And this side is going to be 18. And this side is unknown. This length is not listed either, but because these are drawn as right angles, it's fair to assume that actually 10 plus this is going to be 18 because these have to add up. So I'm going to say that needs to be 8. And this little piece here, it has to, you take x plus 8, you have to add to that to get x plus 14, so that's going to have to be 6. The basic idea is the length of these 2 pieces has to be the sum of that, and the length of these 2 pieces has to be the sum of that. So the perimeter is going to be 2 times 18. Now here I put a dot because there's a 2 and an 18. I didn't add them up. And 2 times x plus 14. That's equal to 36 plus 2x plus 24. Or 24 and 36, that's 50 and 10. That makes 60 plus 2x. So that's the answer. Okay, now we're going to do number 12. Twice the sum of a number and 3 is the same as 5 times the number. Okay, well this is what you call a word problem. Twice the sum of a number and 3 is the same as 5 times the number. Minus 1, minus 4 times the number, find the number. So I'm going to try to turn this into an equation. Okay, the sum of a number. So I'm going to call the number x. The sum of a number plus 3 twice. Twice the sum of a number and 3 is the same. That's an equal sign. That's 5 times the number minus 1 minus 4 times the number. Find the number, okay? So, like before, this will be 2x plus 6 equals, now 5x minus 4, that's just going to be x. That's going to be minus 1. I'm going to move the x over here as a negative to make it 1x. I'm going to move the 6 over here as a negative to get negative 7. So x is going to be negative 7. And one thing that we can do here now is a very common technique is to check your answer after you've done through the algebra. If x were negative 7, this would be negative 4. This side would be negative, I'm sorry, I'm writing it too high. Okay. This would be negative 4. This would be negative 8, for example. 5 times 7, that's negative 35. Negative 1. This would be a negative times a negative, or plus 28. So 28, this is 36. Negative 36 and plus 28 is minus 8. So if I plug back in, I can show that that actually is the correct answer. Double checking is good if it's critical that you get it right. So it's a good idea on homework if you want to make sure you get all the points for your homework, because you don't want a silly little mistake to mark off on homework. So it's always a good idea when you're doing homework to find a way to check your work. Everybody makes mistakes. Okay. Now number 14, a similar problem, a word problem. A second number is 6 less than a first number. Okay, well I'll call the second number, second number is 6 less than the first number. A third number is twice the first number. Okay, so we have one number. So the first number we're just going to call x. I'm just going to arbitrarily say x is equal to the first number. Then they say a second number is 6 less. So I'll just say x minus 6 equals the second number. A third number is twice the first number. So that's 2x is equal to the third number. I just gave these some names to help me understand it. If the sum of the three numbers is 306, find the numbers. Okay, add them up. You're going to add x, and then x is 2x, that's 4x. 4x minus 6 is equal to 306. Find the number. Okay, bring the 6 over, make 312 equal to 4x. Bring the 4 underneath. X equals 312 divided by 4. Now, 4 goes into 125 times. So it goes into 375 times. So that's 3 times 25. And then you'll go in another 3 times. So it's 75 plus another 3. It's going to be 78. Of course, you can do that on your calculator. You get the same answer. Assuming I didn't make a mistake. And of course, if you have a calculator, that's good for double checking some things too. Okay, now we got to number 16. It says, the state of Nevada contains the most federally owned acres of land in the United States. If 90% of the state's 70 million acres of land is federally owned, find the number of acres that are not federally owned. Okay, so we have a little picture here. You don't need the picture, but they just have a little picture of Nevada. See, I wonder what that is. Looks like a river. Okay, it's 70 million acres. Drawing pictures helps a lot because it gets your mind thinking about it. It says 90% is federally owned. Wow, that is rather unbelievable, isn't it? So what that means is federally owned part of my spelling. That's going to be equal to 0.9, 0.9 times 70 million. 70 million is also known as e to the 6th. That's just an easier way to write it. Okay? And you could do that, and then you could subtract it from the 70 million, but we know that if 90% is federally owned, that means that 10% is going to be not federally owned. 10% is the same as 0.1, and that's the same as just moving over the decimal place. So you're going to get 7 million is not federally owned. Okay. Now we're going to go to number 18. Of the 1160 tornadoes that occurred in the United States during 2009, 23.3% occurred during the month of June. How many tornadoes occurred in the United States during June? And round to the nearest number. So this is just a matter of multiplying 1160 by 0.233 as a fraction. So you could multiply it by multiply 0.233, and that would give you the number. It's going to be somewhere around a little bit more than 230. 233 for 1,000. But the easiest way to do this is probably multiply this out. First, you forget about the decimal place. We'll put back 3 decimal places after we're done. And we can just multiply this out the long way. Or you can put it on a calculator. Multiply this by 3. We're going to get 0. We're going to get 3, 3, and an 18. We're going to get the 8. Plus a 1. That'll be a 4. 3480. And the second one is going to be 0, 8, 4, 3, because that's the same. And then when we multiply by 2, we get 0. That's going to be 12. Carry the 1. 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 0. Somebody didn't make a mistake. Yep, that looks right. Okay, we just add them up. 0, 8, 2, 1, that's 7. 10, 0, carry the 1, 7, 2. Now we're going to put in 3 decimal places. 270. 23.3% is 270. 0.28. Now, obviously, you can't have half a tornado. So probably with the correct answer is probably going to be 270. Probably there were 270 tornadoes in June out of 1160. Okay, and then if you divide those, probably it rounds off to the nearest tenth to produce 23.3. And you could check that on the calculator, but I'm going to say the answer is 270 tornadoes. Okay, and then we'll go on to number 20. In 2010, the restaurant industry employed 9% of the U.S. workforce. 9% in restaurants. If there are estimated to be 141 million in the workforce, how many people are employed by the restaurant industry? And round to the nearest tenth. We're going to multiply 141 by 9%. So that's the same as multiplying it by 0.09. So multiply 0.9. So when I do this something like this, I ignore the decimal place. We'll add that in later. So we just multiply it out straight. 9, 36, 12. Put in a decimal place. Oh, no, it should have been 09. Okay, so let me move that over. Goes into 2 places. I should have got, see, I could tell my answer was wrong because I had 126.9 and there was only 141 million. That's e to the 6th, or millions, but I'm not going to write that in here. I'm going to add that in afterwards because the units are understood to be in millions. It's going to be 12.7 million. They said rounded to the nearest tenth. And what they must mean is the nearest tenth of a million. In other words, 12.7 million. people are employed in the restaurant industry. Okay, that's number 20. And that's all we're going to do for today. So that's it. If you have any questions or comments, just leave them down below. Thank you.